Guys, the Civil
totally
War
destroyed a stable country.
The Civil War has already started.
I found the best.
So wait, is it Civil War or is it World War III? Which are we doing today?
Civil War. Look at this video.
Let me see.
Portland Proud Boys chant F Antifa, pepper spray and paintball guns using Riot today in Oregon. The city as clash continues. Oh, geez. Oh, boy. The entire Portland police riot squad resigned. And now in Oregon City, which is, not too far, people are fighting with each other. This might be good news, actually, because if Antifa actually riots in Portland tonight, which they're planning on doing, there's literally nothing stopping them from doing anything. Like, this is it. The people in Portland, the Antifa Portland people, just got carte blanche. The cops are like, yo, we out. It's all yours. They won. There it is. They won.
One thing I like about Oregon is that they have laws where if people want to fight each other, they could fight each other without police intervening. I don't understand why people can't just solve their differences that way. And they have been, they have been in some ways, and I don't think that's a bad thing.
Do you remember when politicians just used to duel?
Yep.
I mean, I guess we don't remember, but reading about it in history class, they used to just shoot at each other.
And you know why?
I'm not necessarily advocating for that, but that's insane. And now we're like two people can't get into a fight.
The younger generation was progressive and opposed the barbaric,
They just didn't have good aim, Tim.
No, for real, that's what it was. The younger
is
generation thought
travesty. They knew they'd get eviscerated.
Was barbaric, and so they wanted to eliminate dueling, and they did.
I believe.
Now you're not allowed to duel.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man. Think about that.
How much more is the left going to take from us?
No. What I was thinking about is how willy-nilly people were with their lives. Yeah, I'll enter Mortal Kombat with you, and I might die.
I wonder, did they take their lives? And granted, I agree that that's an insane thing to do, and people should not do that. But part of it is they just took their principles unbelievably seriously. They were willing to die for these things.
Yeah, people died all the time back then. It was just guess I'll die.
Yeah,
it's stubbed my toe. Oh, I'm dying.
Yeah,
got an infection.
Tooth infection.
Well, and we don't realize
seriously.
it. Yes, one of the most common causes of death. You die in your 30s of a toothache, and so we look at the world back then and can't understand it. But this is what's unprecedented.
These videos are just so stupid. I don't even know what's going on at this point. Just let Portland eat itself.
Yeah.
Why are Portland Proud Boys going and fighting with Antifa? What is this? What's the point? You know what I mean? If Antifa wants to go and destroy their own city, okay, you got to leave, man. I don't know. The cops are gone.
So do you think these Proud Boys live there and are?
They do live there, yeah.
Okay.
So I guess the issue here is this is exactly what we've been predicting for some time, and the cops back away and say we're not going to do this anymore.
Yep.
And then locals form counter groups to fight against Antifa because they're destroying the city, and then you end up with two factions fighting for control or in some way control of the streets. And there you go. And it's only a matter of time before it escalates.
So what is the end result of this? Is this actual civil war where these individual private factions go to war with each other? Is this what it looks like? Because this is actual in the streets brawling over, Proud Boys fighting with Antifa? That sounds like that sounds
until
like
it gets
to me.
I think also it depends on who is the winner or the loser. I think if Antifa gets an edge, we kind of don't talk about it as much. But if the Proud Boys get the edge, then there's a whole investigation and they're thrown in federal prison and labeled terrorists. Probably.
Yeah, that'll likely happen here too. But with the Portland riot. So this is Oregon City. It's not Portland. But I wonder if how many years it's been several years of this ongoing escalating violence, and this is certainly not the biggest of it.
Yeah.
So maybe it just plateaus, and people are just like, dude, I'm so sick of watching videos of you throwing a rock at some guy. I don't care. You know what I mean? You're not doing anything. With the cops not being in Portland, it might get crazy because what if someone comes out with a gun? Mm-hmm. Antifa or otherwise. We saw it happen last time with that one guy who got shot and killed.
Yeah.
Well, we've seen police stand out many times and not do their job, especially in Berkeley. Just ignore riots, ignore utter violence, and let things kind of play out under the orders of police captains who are like, well, we don't want to interfere here. And many times, especially during, last summer, there was a lot of violence and a lot of police officers and police chiefs that were told stand down, and they stood down. So this is not going to be something new. This has happened before. Portland is one of the few places where you actually see some of these conflicts happen, and they get pretty crazy. And even then, you just see kind of cops standing by, just like that cop in Atlanta a few days ago that was there for a drive-by shooting and just decided to watch.
Bro, I'm chilling.
Yeah. If
it were me right now, especially, I'd just be sitting there on my phone, and people would be like, "Oh, they're rioting." I'd be like, "Oh, really? Again?" Oh.
I don't. Yeah,
She's got a new high score on Word Crossy.
it's depressing with the police standing down, but also it's not even something limited to riots. Like we saw that happen during the Parkland shooting, and the police just waited outside.
Didn't he like run away?
Yeah.
He got in trouble for that, didn't he?
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah, they were literally not trying to do their job as horrible things were happening that we can't even mention on this YouTube channel. And yeah, those are the people protecting and serving.
Also, well, then the Supreme Court has said too that the police don't have a responsibility to protect you, which is why people need to get better defending themselves. Luke has something to plug there, but no, it's true.
No, it's not even to plug there. I mean, one of my friends was one of the people that made that case very public, Joe Lozito.
Interesting.
If you look up We Are Change Joe Lozito, he stopped a serial murderer who was on the loose, who was killing people with a butcher knife. He got stabbed in the head, fought a guy, brought him down, took him down as police officers were standing by with their guns, with their batons, two of them watching the whole thing.
Oh my God.
Then when they disarmed him, when Joe disarmed this crazy serial killer who almost killed him, finally took him down, finally threw the knife away, then the cops intervened, handcuffed the murderer, and then waited for backup as Joe was bleeding out, almost died. He woke up the next day in the hospital, and the scumbag mayor is congratulating these police officers for stopping a serial killer, saying that Joe was a victim when Joe was the one who brought him down. Joe sued, and then this was brought to a very important court case that went up the ladder, and the court ruled the NYPD has no legal duty to protect its citizens. And if they watch someone being stabbed, even though that they have batons, even though they have guns, they could just sit there and watch people get stabbed and die. And they could legally do that through the Joe Lozito case. It's a fascinating story.
Insane.
The scars that Joe Lozito still has on his face. He got stabbed with a butcher knife in his face, on his head, all in his shoulders. Dude, it was this close to losing his life. It's a blessing that this man's alive. He's a hero. He's a badass guy, and he attributes watching UFC videos to learning the takedown of this guy with the butcher knife, and Dana White took him out to a lot of the UFC shows. I think he's still on Joe Lozito on Twitter, but if you want to see the video, it's a very powerful video, and you should share it because people need a reality wake-up call, especially the blue, the Back to Blue guys who are like, hey, you got to protect police officers.
What did the cops do wrong?
With Joe Lozito?
Yeah, what did they do wrong?
They took credit for something that they never did.
That's fair. Fair.
They lied about what happened, and then they also waited for backup when they had a suspect already in handcuffs. They waited for more backup instead of calling EMS and moving the subway cart that they were keeping in the middle of the tracks to the subway tracks. So again, people need to wake up to the reality that at the end of the day, they're responsible for themselves. No one else will. And that's why being able to defend yourself, being able to have tools to defend yourself is something that every citizen should have no matter what.
So this is what I'm wondering. Like, what could the cops have done? Like a takedown on the guy, like the same way Joe did?
Takedown or baton him or try to grab a hold of the hand with the butcher knife. I mean, there's two guys. And you grab the hand at least. It's hard to say because a lot of people panic, and I don't want to make too much judgment calls, especially when it comes to PTSD moments where people are in shock, because people react differently during those situations. And even when people act one way in one particular situation that has high intensity, they act totally different during a different one. And you never know how someone's going to react in those situations. But at least don't lie about it. At least don't take credit for it. At least don't do that. But if you're a police officer, you have to be trained to be ready in those kind of situations. I don't mean take out a gun and shoot, but if you have less lethal munitions, if you have ways of using a baton, I mean, at least that would be a lot helpful than just watching.
We're well past the point where cops are obligated to do anything for anybody. I mean, with that case, with the Supreme Court, with Black Lives Matter, at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if there's like a dude dragging a woman by the hair as she screams help and the cop goes, run, and the cop runs away.
Yeah, I literally have it on video. Cops running the other way when a woman was screaming in panic in the middle of the streets of San Francisco. Fox News was also recording last summer during the BLM riots when people were just going from store to store to store, police officers just standing, twiddling their thumbs, watching everything unfold, not deciding to intervene as stores and people's livelihoods were being taken right in front of them. So seeing stuff like that should definitely make people understand that that, hey, at the end of the day, you're responsible for yourself. If people are trying to disarm you like they are in New York City, where we're seeing huge, atrocious crime. We saw an 82-year-old punched in the face, robbed of his cane. We saw a woman and child caught in a crossfire when a madman was trying to shoot and kill someone just yesterday. I mean, the levels of violence that are happening in New York City, where people are left undefended, where people are left vulnerable because of these stupid, idiotic rules and laws that leave them defenseless, is just absolutely mind-boggling.
Crime is going through the roof. Cops are under attack. This is why they're resigning. And so at this point, I'm kind of just like, I don't blame them. I don't. Now, we can talk about years ago when the cops weren't intervening, but I mean, even the subway, like, what do? They shoot a guy? What if they hit somebody? We saw what happened when that disgruntled employee came out of the Empire State Building, and the cops shot at him and missed and hit like 7 bystanders.
That's because they get really crappy training,
Yeah.
and they were literally not even aiming, and they couldn't even shoot one guy. And then I remember the story when it first came out, mass shooting event. I forgot the exact numbers, but I think it was like a dozen people shot and wounded.
7, I think.
I don't know the exact numbers, but it was a big number, and they couldn't even get the suspect. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, apparently he didn't get shot.
Yeah.
It was a bunch of random people.
People got shot, and I'm like, there needs to be at least minimally an overhaul in training. I mean, there's so many police videos where they don't even know how to properly take someone down. At least do a little bit of jujitsu. At least like learn how to use a firearm. At least understand the consequences and the bullet velocity, and understand how far it will go when you shoot it through things. At least know when to use it, when not to use it. And that type of training is hard. I've been doing it last summer. I'm going to be doing it again in a few weeks myself. It's not easy. But it's something that if you entrust someone with that authority, when you disarm everyone else, like it's something that people should be taking seriously.
I got a question about this though. Like, who are the people who say back the blue? Like, they don't live in cities, right?
Well, it depends. There's a lot of people who voice their message and also duplicitously also fly the Constitution flag or the "Don't Tread on Me" flag.
I love there's a meme where someone's truck had Molon Labe and then it also had the thin blue line or whatever.
Yeah, you can't have both.
And people are like, you're defending the people who are literally going to homes and seizing guns from other people.
Yeah, or doing no-knock raids on red flag laws, just like they did Duncan Lamp.
These police departments that are all screwed up are the Democrat-run ones. You know what I mean? Like, people aren't complaining about rural Idaho. Yeah. They're complaining about New York.
I mean, everyone has their complaints, but obviously in bigger, high-density areas, there's going to be more people complaining. Obviously, there's going to be more police officers. Obviously, there's going to be more rooms for error, especially with a larger population compared to smaller populations where those situations do happen. Asset forfeiture does happen. People do get robbed. It happens. There's violations of the Constitution that do happen, and it happens far and wide.
Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. We do the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., so come back to check us out when we go live. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, hit the notification bell, and we are also available on all podcast platforms for free if you want to listen to us there. Thanks for hanging out, and we will see you all next time.